Hello and welcome to the Serpent Temple podcast and YouTube channel. We are sitting in a beautiful Airbnb in the bosom of France. And I'm joined with my co-host, Floyd. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, feeling nice and well rested. It's been an amazing weekend. My first time... What are you laughing at? My first time in Hellfest, and it was a fantastic...
Why not? That'll be nestled.
Everybody needs a bosom for a pillow. It's been great. A great time. We had some fun. We had some laughs. Have you seen that clip? I was trying to reference. Have you ever seen that clip of George Bush Sr.? He's speaking at a conference, and he's saying, like, we had some fun. We had some laughs. We had some sex. He's like, it's like completely undescribed what he was trying to say. But
I don't think many people did have sex in like the state of cleanliness that we experienced during the festival. But hey, maybe lots of people did. I don't know. I don't think that's very relevant though. We're going to review the music of the festival as opposed to the quality of the bedroom time people had in their tents.
But it's a unique experience. This is your 10th Hellfest, isn't it, Nina?
It's my 10th Hellfest, and this is your first, so it'll be a very balanced review. It'll be like a hardened Hellfest grower and a fresh new denizen of hell.
Hellfest virgin.
So many jokes I could make there.
We won't explore any of them.
A hell virgin. Yeah. What were your first impressions of the festival when you walked in?
The best festival ever. Like, everything down to, like, firstly, I remember when I was reviewing I was reviewing Roadburn, because that was back in 2019. We went around then, but I've definitely talked about it before on the podcast and how well choreographed that was in terms of, like, the stages and how, like, you know, how much thought went into the curation of the bands. And I feel like Hellfest has managed to do that on, like, a much grander stage. Like, it's like an open air festival. And I feel like not only are the stages expertly curated to, like, and it's funny because there is still a bit of crossover. Like, we'll get to it when we review the bands. Like, we watched Miraf perform on, like, it's either the altar or the temple stage. I'll pull it up when we're reviewing the bands. But like, it was one of the stages that's typically more reserved for black and death metal bands, but it still made sense within the context of how the running order of the festival was. Like, you know, it's done with such consideration that I feel like anybody that's a fan of a particular subgenre can easily navigate around the stages and make sure that they're not really missing out. And that's another thing that I was kind of blown away by, was how it was such a festival of epic proportions, yet everything's still so easy to navigate.
It's so easy.
Like, the whole, for people that haven't been, like, you know, like the black and the death metal stage, the altar and the temple. I'm not strictly black and death metal, but that's how I always saw it when I looked at the lineup. There's like the big partition in the middle, so you could just like cross over, and they're obviously not playing at the same time, so like when one finishes, the other one starts. And they've done the same thing with the main stage, right? So main stage 1 and 2 are alternating, and then like the valley and the war zone, which is and one other thing, like the acoustics and sound on all stages was absolutely breathtaking.
It's beautiful,
and phenomenal. And like the aesthetic of the war zone is so much more suited to like kind of like the hardcore, like kind of crust punky, like that sort of area of extreme music. Whereas like the valley kind of had more of like kind of like this cavernous, ambient, kind of like atmospheric vibe to it.
Yeah.
And and I think just the artwork and just the monuments and just all the visual and aesthetic aspect of everything that's been set up is just something I've never seen before. And like, you know, I've never been to Vakin, I've never been to like Grass Pop or like Brutal Assault or Metal Days, but like I can't imagine there's many festivals that have managed to achieve what Hellfest have done. And they literally have fired on all cylinders. And they're literally firing on all cylinders because fucking shit tons of metal. Shit tons of fire, like pouring out from loads of
metal.
Yeah.
And
such a simple podcast.
I know. Made it sound like we're visiting some sort of like ironworks fucking factory. Shit tons of metal pouring out from. But no, it was. As you could tell, we're pretty tired.
This is the day after Hellfest. This is a Monday after the weekend, so we're pooped as fuck. We're very zonked out. But we thought, you know, we're here. We may as well review it while we're fresh and the memories are still there before they fade away into nothingness.
But it's how do you feel the festival's grown in the kind of like 10 years as a Hellfest veteran? How do you think it's kind of grown, and where do you think you kind of see it going? We're having some conversations about what the future might be for Hellfest.
I thought it was so interesting. I started going in 2011. That was my first Hellfest, and I missed 2018 and 2019, and then I did 2 last year to make up for it because it was a double weekender. And in 2011 it was a completely different festival in terms of how it looked. So you didn't have anything where the valley was. That was nothing. So the war zone was kind of like on the edge of the festival, and I never ever went to the war zone. And I would usually pretty much just stay in the valley altar temple, and I'd never bothered going to the main stage. The VIP area was completely different. There was less permanent stuff on the site, and they've basically separated the artist area and the VIP area. Before they were right next to each other, so there's like less interaction between the artists and the media, and the festival it felt actually bigger in a way. It felt harder to get around, but maybe that's because I was camping for half of the time I've been coming, and now I've graduated to wanting to have a shower every day. Yeah, it's really interesting. And I was definitely saying, the lineups have evolved somewhat. So you still have like the incredible curation of the underground metal that you get on the lower stages, like the undercard, I was calling it. You have like amazing finds that you just know that the people booking this have exceptional taste. And I've always appreciated that. But then on the main stage, I've noticed that they're definitely breaking into the mainstream. And there's always been expansion every year of the festival. They're always adding to it. They're adding more permanent sites and more artwork, which I love. But yeah, it's really, and when I say artwork, I mean like the iron pyrotechnics, because they have like iron works that produce like custom. Oh my God, a bug went down my top. Oh fuck. Oh,
maybe it's Barry B. Benson.
The bass bee. It's a beetle. Oh no, I don't know where it's gone. It's like under my boob. Those frogs just started chanting in the forest as well. Did you hear? There's nothing I can do. I'm just going to have to firm it. It's just going to be a beetle throughout this review, just wandering around down there. Nah, okay. We'll just this is how dedicated I am to not giving you a hard life. It's just going to be a weird tickling sensation for a while. Okay. Good luck to that beetle. What was I saying? Yes, the custom-made pyrotechnics are incredible, and like at night it's so beautiful. Everything lights up. There's like fire just coming up at random intervals, like huge puffs of flame.
If I can feel it as well.
Yeah,
it's like a mushroom. You get like the whole cool mushroom cloud smoke effect afterwards.
Yeah, it's amazing. And like they've improved it so much. And yeah, I think they're breaking into the mainstream. You had like Machine Gun Kelly and Tenacious D, which like 10 years ago they would never have booked bands like that. They probably didn't have the budget as well. But I do think they're trying to attract a younger generation of people that will come for Tenacious D and MGK, and they'll walk past the temple and altar and be like, what the fuck is that? That's benediction.
Yeah.
And like listen to that music for the first time, and then they'll convert these people into lifelong metal fans, because I think that's a really good way to do it, actually, because I'm not a fan obviously of like those bands. Like I love benediction.
We did have to stop Shem. Shem almost got kicked out of VIP for singing along to Tribute by Tenacious D.
Did he actually?
So no. Am I that deadpan?
I was like, I wasn't there for that. Well, he was singing quite loudly certain songs that were very adjacent to Tenacious D. Shem was improving Tenacious D's work in the same vein that Jack Black would have been very proud of, I would say.
I did see a few. Machine Gun Kelly had a big circle pit though. I saw on Twitter the day after he played. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he seems to have. I think he must have had Travis Barker on drums as well, right? I would have imagined.
No.
Don't know. Not done my research. Why would I? We're only reviewing the festival.
It's fucking Machine Gun Kelly, though. I don't think he needs any research done.
That's true.
He's got it going on. He's got enough money that he doesn't need us reviewing him, giving him
true.
A new audience. Yeah, but I really appreciate that about the festival. Yeah, that was my 10-year veteran take on it, I suppose.
Nice.
No,
yeah.
Well, should we go into the bands that
Let's do it.
Yeah.
One other thing I didn't want to say quickly as well, it was the best festival food I've ever had.
It was, wasn't it?
As well. It's amazing. Like, the food there is great. Normally, I'm very apprehensive about buying food at festival for obvious reasons. Like, I'm sure most vendors do what they can to mitigate circumstances such as food poisoning and cross-contamination, but I understand it's not the easiest of circumstances to do that.
Especially if it's hot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And touch wood. Obviously, no gastrointestinal problems as of yet.
That we know of.
Yeah. But yeah, everything tasted amazing. Like the food in VIP was great. We were allowed to talk about the VIP area, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, the VIP area was fucking sick as well. They had like a
so
lily
cool.
pond.
It had lily pads in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, before it used to be like a pool, and the first day it was clear, and then like people would just start bathing in it, and it would go brown really quickly and really dirty. But this year they've planted like lily pads, and there's actual lotus flowers in there.
Yeah.
That like come up, and we heard a frog.
We did.
We heard a frog on the Sunday that was like croaking, and we tried to find it, but we couldn't. It was probably scared.
Although it might have just been matey boy from Frog Lord trying to sneak into the festival.
It's probably Frog Lord, yeah.
But I love the feature that they had with the pool at the top, with like you had like these
yeah,
kind of like druid looking, kind of like
the hooded figures,
and then like the red. Like
the red water.
The red water. It was very cool.
Yeah, that's a really cool feature. I love that. And the bar is like H.R. Geiger themed as well.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that was super cool.
Yeah, it has like spinal column arches and shit in
There's just everything. Like there's like not a single detail has been spared. Like even the entrance into the arena, like even the fucking booth for the official merch was like this.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Like a haunted house style fucking thing with a giant gargoyle at the top. And that's one thing. We talked about this a couple of times during the festival. Was I'm so surprised at how dedicated the Hellfest like demographic and kind of like fan base, for lack of a better term, are. Like that queue for the official merch.
It did not go down.
No, it was long.
Yeah.
It was so long throughout the entire duration of the festival.
It barely moved.
And like it really is a badge of honor, and I think it's something that people that attend the festival are very proud of, and I could totally understand it because it is just an absolute monument to heavy music. And I think it is actually quite heartwarming to see that there is still so many dedicated festivals and events that are doing what they can to kind of keep the genre alive, especially post-COVID, because there was a time when, like attending what I've just attended on the weekend, like that seemed like a million miles away. Like in 2020, and I know you guys came to like the double festival last year, which I think, and one thing that I think we were all maybe not all of us, but me personally were quite grateful for was the weather wasn't as intense as last year.
Oh yeah.
Was it 40 odd degrees? It was still quite warm and really rainy on Sunday morning, but other than that, it was okay. It's pretty bearable.
It's the most rain I've ever seen at Hellfest.
Yeah.
It's usually been like baking, pretty much.
It's the hardship of the Scots.
Yeah, you brought the Scottish weather with you. It was so funny. Yeah, it was like hot the first day, kind of okay, still hot the second day, and then just cold for me on the Sunday. But perfect temperature for you.
That was great. Loved it.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah, should we start with the bands?
Let's do it. Let's get them up.
So on the Friday, we started with the boss super, super high. We saw LLNN open up the valley. It was like, I think it was 11:40.
Yeah.
And they commanded a massive crowd. Really, really good for like the first band on a Friday morning. Everyone's hungover from the Thursday. We missed the Thursday because I fucked up the bookings. We didn't see Kiss. Sorry, everyone. We can't review that. Yeah.
They were amazing. I think we definitely made up for lost time on the Friday. We caught a lot of really great sets, and I'm going to say it slowly because I always fucking.
It's so hard.
I'm gonna go. Now that I've met them, and they seem to have given me a somewhat seal of approval.
They're giving you a pass.
So I'll say double LNN, so that it's easier to say. They were absolutely fantastic. I think it was the second show of the frontman and the guitarist.
You wouldn't know.
No, you wouldn't. And it was just commanded such a great. All of them had such great stage presence. Just playing with such kind of like fervor and passion. Like I love their music. I love the Unmaker album.
Same.
It was absolutely fantastic. We might have some content coming up where we could speak.
Yeah, we interviewed them. It was great.
Yeah, we interviewed them. They were really great guys, really cool. Got on really well with them, and I think that it was a pleasure for us to really delve into their minds a bit and find out kind of what inspired them to make that album. Because for those who haven't heard it, it is a fantastic album. And it's always gratifying for me to see when the bands can replicate that on stage, because it's like
they did it so well,
and it was really good. Like the track Desecrator, which was probably my favorite track on the album, sounded absolutely fucking massive. Like everything sounded so huge, and you could tell everyone was kind of like blown away. And there was people like they were either like standing in shock or just like head banging the fuck out. Like it was
so fucking good. Like
it was amazing.
The bass sounded huge on that stage, like consistently through the weekend. But it was like the best for LLN. They had some of the best sound in my opinion.
Yeah. And there was a cool track, like Shem pointed out as well, where like the where the guitarist vocalist for a while just took the mic and just let the bassist run with the track, and it was just sounded so fucking dense and heavy, and it's just like, you know, that really is testament to like a band that knows their craft and knows what they're capable of replicating sound wise on stage, and it was just still sounded immense, because not many bands could really do that without it sounding weak and flat.
But they did a great
but it
job.
was still dense and heavy as fuck.
They don't need gimmicks or anything to make that work, you know, which I think like is really impressive. Yeah, there's a giant moth trapped inside the flat, so I was just checking it out. Trying to get out. Whoa! Oh my fucking god! That was huge! That was a beetle!
Fucking Smaug the dragon.
I wonder if I went on the camera. It was fucking massive!
Big.
It was huge. Okay. That light is going to attract some bugs because the sun's going down.
Yeah, fuck me. Yeah, that's a bright light.
There's going to be an insect special. That beetle is still really going for it. Like... Oh god, should we move on? I think the next band I saw was Bong Ripper, who were good. I think they also played the Valley.
How a Bong Ripper? Well, I scroll through to see which the next band I watched was.
Oh, I thought it was an animal.
Nope.
We had goats earlier, and I thought they were babies. So I'm just in a tired state of mind. Anyway, Bong Ripper were great, really good, like instrumentals. It's just a bike, okay.
My hearing's shot, so I can't hear anything.
I've listened to so much heavy metal, everything just sounds like an instrument at the moment. Yeah. And
just, we're by a train track, so we seem to have been lucky so far, but we get periodic trains every 20 minutes or so.
Yeah. And
it sounds like a screaming...
demon.
Sounds a bit like a Zombantly death flute a little bit. Yeah.
It sounds really demonic, because we're in a valley, and it like amplifies the sound in a really interesting way. It'd be a really good sample, actually.
Yeah, no, it would.
Yeah. What was your next band after LR?
Yep, so I didn't watch Bong Ripper, but we did watch, in a very packed tent, Nostromo, who are a Swiss, kind of like grindcore, death metal, kind of hardcore infused band. I was totally blown away to see how many people were watching them, because I have their album from about 2001, because I don't really know how to pronounce it, but it's spelled ECCE space LEX. It's like Exa-Lex. So
XLX.
Sounded vaguely French. Don't know how it's pronounced in French, which I'm guessing is that native tongue.
What is Ecce Latin? Ecce Homo. How dare you?
You could probably, yeah.
Lex, does that mean like light? Or Lux is light? We're not Latin.
No.
Google. Wow. Such
either way.
I could Google it.
So I had this album, given it to my friend Jason, who's the one that got me into heavy music many, many years ago, over 20 years ago now. And I was like, wow, this album fucking rocks. And then never heard anything from this band for 2 decades. Didn't know they were still going. I knew that they recorded, I think, one other song. Obviously, they're named, another thing that drew me to them is they're named after the ship from the Alien series. Obviously, the Nostromo is the ship that they bought. Which I always thought was super cool as well. And so we watched them live to my recommendation. And I didn't know how they would be live, but turns out they were absolutely fucking amazing live. Their sound was top notch. Like the guitars were just some of the most, they were just rhythmically like Meshuggah levels of brutality and precision.
The frontman had great energy as well.
Oh yeah, the frontman was amazing. Yeah, really commanded the stage. Presuming it's the original frontman, but it's... Probably should have done some research. Well, why would I do research? We're only reviewing bands and reviewing the festival. Why would have I done research?
Research is for the weak.
But they're amazing, and the tent was so fucking packed. We were on the outside and like kind of like watching from the screen and a little bit inside. But yeah, it was. I mean, I loved it personally. I think safe to say you guys enjoyed it as well.
Oh hell yeah, it was really good. A lot of death metal from that region of the world is just fucking sick.
Oh yeah.
Lex means law, by the way.
Oh nice.
Yeah.
So what does Ecce mean? Do we know?
I need to Google that as well now. Sorry. And then what did we watch after Nostromo?
I've got listed for me the next band I watched, which I don't think you guys did watch. Oh no, you did catch it. Was you guys were there? Was Der Weg eine Freiheit.
Oh yeah, great.
Yeah, and they were fantastic. So they're kind of like an atmospheric, kind of like semi-post black metal band from Germany, who are also off the back of touring a semi-recent album. And I thought they were fantastic. I like kind of like black metal that takes its time and kind of like builds a song. It's kind of like a Neurosis style of songwriting where it starts off and just delays, envelop over time.
Atmospheric
And there's
building.
a bit of, then you've got like the crescendo and I thought they were really good, and they went, and the tent seemed packed for them as well. And I thought that was an absolutely fantastic set. First time I've ever seen them live. Been a fan of them for a few years, so I thought that was really enjoyable. And then...
Eche means behold, so it means behold the law.
Behold the law. Maybe they're Judge Dredd fans.
Oh,
I am the law.
I am the law.
And then...
you saw next? Right?
So, so you guys... This is where we split off for the first time. So you guys went to watch Weed Eater.
Oh yeah, we watched Weed Eater. That was great. Yeah. They're really chaotic on stage. I love Dixie's energy. He's absolutely mad. Like, he will just... So basically with Dixie, people who don't know Weed Eater, legendary Stoner Doom band, Dixie was like cleaning his favourite shotgun and shot off his toe a few years ago, just before they were supposed to go in to record one of their albums with Rick Rubin, and they had to delay the album by 6 months while he figured out how to live his life without his big toe. It's pretty difficult.
That's got to be tough, right? Because you get a lot of your foot placement come from the big toe, right?
Yeah. And when we actually interviewed them later, and Dixie was in like a lot of pain.
Bless him.
His like knees and legs were hurting. It was like hard for him to walk. I felt really bad. They had to come from the artist area all the way to
Christ.
the IP, and it's like quite a long distance for them to travel.
No.
Bless him. But they were so fun and chaotic. They're really, really nice guys.
Yeah, shout out to those guys. They were great.
They were really cool people. I really love them. And yeah, they're just legendary. Like their music rocks. They're really fun live. Always putting so much energy into the show. And they're warriors. They have been going for so long now. Yeah.
Oh, great. Well, while you guys were watching, I don't sound said that like a Norwegian now. Well, you guys were watching Weed Eater. I was watching Vride, a Norwegian band who were absolutely fantastic. So I've been a fan of Vride for a while, as I was a fan of Vindir, the project before, and they've kind of really they've come to run like they're a new project. They've been Vride for a very long time, but like they've really done a great job of like cementing this band as like and it has its standalone legacy. Like they really remind me of Enslaved in the way that they kind of have a great command of the rhythmic section.
Yeah.
Problem with a lot of black metal or kind of like folky Vikingish metal, whatever you want to kind of call it or label it as, is it's just simply there's not enough riffs. And I think Vride have always been a band that have always had a bit of a groove and a swing to them. And like, there's tracks such as like Life Hunger and Pitch Black Brigade, which is what they close with, which is just such like, it's got that black and roll kind of crusty vibe to it that anyone can enjoy. And then once again, the sound was immaculate. The guitar playing was so crisp, but I don't think there was a single note out of place. And we had the pleasure of meeting the bassist Jarl as well afterwards, who was and bless him, like, the timing wasn't perfect because he just played not too long.
Yeah, he was so like zonked from playing.
So once again, an absolute trooper as well, and obviously we really appreciated his time. But it was a fantastic set. One of my set highlights probably would have been maybe the set of the weekend if it wasn't for one of the other sets that's coming up soon. But it was right up there.
Right up there. And then I believe you watched 1349.
I did catch a bit for 1349, easy for me to say. Christ. And they're very good. Like, one thing I love about 1349 as a band is they also are a band that kind of broke the conventions of black metal and where black metal was going at the time, and was just like, no, we really want black metal, or our version of black metal is going to be really fast, brutal, and aggressive, and like a lot of fire, pyro, and just chaos, and just absolute brutality.
Did they start the set with a fire?
Yeah, I missed the beginning of the set because we were quite busy ourselves, kind of running around
and interviews that day,
doing our ting. So we did our best to catch what we wanted to catch. So I caught about 60% of the set, nice. And did manage to see like a couple of the tracks I wanted to see, and like some of the new tracks from the Infernal Pathways. I'm saying new 2019. Haven't seen them since then. Were absolutely fantastic. So it was and it was a great set, and the crowd. They always get a massive crowd. Like 1349 have a really like fervid following because they really stand alone from the pack as like a black metal band, and you see it in their stage show as well. Like Raven and like Frost is such a great drummer, Raven's such a great front man. Like everything they do kind of like commands your attention because it's just so intense.
Yeah, amazing. And we had the pleasure of talking to Cedarman.
We did, yes. He was an absolute gent.
Really cool guy. I really enjoyed talking to him. And then I believe it's probably maybe the band of the day for you, perhaps?
Potentially, yeah. So Before that, I did catch a tiny bit of Gorgoroth while we were going through. It sounded pretty good.
Oh, Gorgoroth always sound great. Yeah.
Missed Bloodbath, sadly, because we were busy
Oh, yes.
doing our ting. But then we all managed to find time to watch Botch.
Which was very cool. I actually enjoyed watching you guys watch Botch almost as much as at this point, I was really flagging.
Yeah.
I was like super tired and like I was really hyped for Botch, but I had to spend most of the set just sort of slumped against Shem.
Yeah.
Just kind of leaning on him like a rock. But the light show was incredible.
Yeah,
and the set was
unreal.
amazing, and the crowd was so appreciative. I think I had a smile on my face like most of the time because it was just so like there was just something so triumphant and wonderful about it. And the front person was Dave. Sorry, I'm not very good at names. Dave was like so happy to be performing. You could tell he was really having a great time up there, and that always makes it more fun to watch someone play.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, they're a band that I think a lot of people didn't think really would be on the cards for them to really return. So
yeah, I was shocked when they announced it.
I think Dave was saying himself it was 20 years or 20 odd years since he'd been in France. And honestly, they did not play like a band
They were
that hadn't
amazing.
played. I mean, obviously, I know they've been rehearsing and stuff, but they're not a band that they didn't seem like they've been more or less inactive as a unit for 20 years.
To play that kind of music, the level of musicianship, it's so complex. There's so many crazy time signatures and constant changes. There's no like obvious direction the music is going to go, and like to play such long songs with such complex structures on stage live, like a bunch of other people, is just so amazing to watch.
It was really kind of like just almost a spiritual experience in some parts with how on the money they were with their musicianship. And the thing is, like, Botch as a band are like so influential. Like, you take like newer bands like Pupil Slicer and that's kind of like resurgence.
LONN.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like this thing with like like Panic Chords kind of like making a bit of a comeback and stuff, and that era of metalcore and hardcore being more prevalent in today's scene. Like, a lot of that is largely thanks to Botch and what they brought to the table at that time. You could tell they're very accomplished musicians, more accomplished than my verbal skills apparently. And one thing that I thought was incredibly cool, which I think the only artist I could think of that I've seen do this is probably Flesh God Apocalypse, because they do have a pianist on stage. There's a certain times where the drummer took a break to play like piano interludes that were parts of the songs, and while simultaneously going between the two instruments, and it was done so in a way that wasn't haphazard or awkward, which is often the times when you see a band member trying to juggle a couple of instruments. But no, this was done with just airtight precision and musicianship, but passion and just absolute ferocity. Like, it was just, and you touched upon the light show. It was like, well, I keep using Meshuggah as a barometer here, but it was a Meshuggah level like light show, and it was just, and the thing is, I think being so late and tired probably added to it a bit for me.
It does make it more, it makes the music impact you more, and it's the perfect music for that level of like, just like what's the word, you're kind of disoriented, and it's disorienting music, so in a way it kind of was perfect, the timing of them playing. Yeah, I think the band that you're talking about, the piano, I think Trent Reznor does that really well. Between the key, like playing really very, because the thing that really stood out about Botch's piano performance was that there was a lot of dynamics. So he was playing very rubato, like playing really quietly, like, and then loudly, and really putting that emotion in, which I think was something that you guys really felt. But from the performance, because the piano can be such a emotional instrument, whereas a lot of the time people will play it like a keyboard. They will just plinky plonk. It's all the same volume. It's played in the same emotional manner the whole time. But he did that so well, because I think when you're on stage, you're in a kind of a state of panic anyway. You just want to kind of do it and get it out of the way. But he really took his time to like do that bit justice. And Trent Reznor does that really well. Lingua Ignota does that really well too.
I'm really looking forward to seeing her play her final shows.
I need to go see her play. Yeah.
Funny enough, actually, I think Ghostbuff did it when I saw them at Bloodstock as well.
Nice.
Yeah, they got their big song called Golden Number. There's like a long piano interlude, and he actually played it, and I thought, that's pretty cool.
That's cool.
I was going to ask, before we move on from Botch, I was going to ask Shem, is there anything you want to add? As the biggest Botch fan of the three of us.
It was incredible. I loved it so much. It was life affirming. I love Botch so much, and they're so important to me musically, and inspirationally, and they didn't put a foot wrong. I had tears in my eyes.
Yeah.
Easy.
I think I had more fun watching Shem enjoy it than as much, because I really enjoyed it as well. But I'll fully admit, I missed the brotch. Ironically, botching my words. I missed the botch bandwagon. I jumped onto them a little bit later, like, 'cause I came from a slightly different angle into the whole metalcore, hardcore scene. So, but they were always a band that were talked about very highly, and I have listened to them and got into them. But, they weren't as seminal for me as they were for Shem, because it weren't that part of my formulative listening experience for that particular genre. But nevertheless, it was still, and I was still insanely excited for that show.
Yeah, it was amazing. And then we split off again.
Yeah, so I officially retired.
There was no other band playing at the time.
Back to the camp. And you went to watch
Gogol Bordello. So I love Botch, but I am going to be controversial. I enjoyed Gogol Bordello more. Botch was definitely a bucket list gig. It was a bucket list gig, but I really wanted to have some fun, and I wanted to dance like a maniac. And I grew up listening to Gogol Bordello before I listened to Botch. And they're actually kind of I realized when I was watching them, last time I saw them was with Rage Against the Machine in Finsbury Park. I think that was a long time ago.
That's such a weird fucking billing.
Yeah, it was a great one.
But it makes sense.
It made total sense. It was a perfect, really good warm-up band for Rage. And I realized that they were actually really influential on me when I was watching them, because they fuse the music of their culture with modern music, but they do it in a way that isn't hokey. And they do it in a way that it's just them. That's how they sound. And I really love how political they are. I really love how much effort they've gone to be dedicated and committed to their art, but also committed to what they believe in. And their art is about what they believe in. And I think that's such an important thing for me. That really makes me respect and appreciate it. And I find that super inspiring. And they're so high energy. They're such incredible, talented musicians. They had this singer on stage whose vocals were the best vocals I heard all weekend. She was fucking insane. The stuff she was doing while running around. And they had this violinist who was Bach concerto, scherzo level playing. It was fucking rad, man. And the whole time, the whole crowd was dancing except Shem. Who just stood there, but it's fine. Everyone has, sometimes
he was the Samwise Gamgee of that particular voyage.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta stand for a band because your partner loves them. We all do it. We all do it for each other. The words
I may not
Botch,
like the Bordello, but I could watch them for you.
I can't carry it for you. It's so funny. Yeah.
What was the thing about him smashing the bottles? That sounded interesting.
Oh my god.
The microphone, sorry.
The singer kept smashing up microphones, and I swear to God, he went through 8 or 9 microphones. And after the second song, it's I need some microphones. Someone give me some fucking microphones. He was getting pissed off, but not in a horrible to watch way. He was just I'm doing this crazy shit, and he just goes mad. He's running around the stage. There's 10 people on this stage. They're all singing. They're all playing instruments accordion, violin, guitar, acoustic. This shit is going on. There is not a moment you're bored, and then the music is so fun to dance to. And I've finally gotten to that age where I can dance at a festival and I don't really give a fuck anymore.
Yeah.
And it's just so fun. It's so nice. When I was younger and I'd go, I was obsessed with looking cool, which is not cool. No one really cares how you look or what you're doing. Everyone's just enjoying themselves. So I'm getting to that point where I can enjoy myself enough to actually dance, because I'm not a very good dancer, but listening to Bordello, I just danced how I would in my bedroom when I was a teenager. And it was just such a nice feeling to just let go and enjoy it. And it was just great. They were probably one of the high points of the weekend for me.
Whereabouts were you guys standing?
Kind of in the middle to the left of the wall zone.
So so not on the steps, but in the actual main floor part.
In the actual main bit, I just went right in there.
That must have been lively as hell.
Oh my god, there was so much energy. Everyone was just pogoing the whole time. I felt like a teenager again. And I'd been so tired during Botch, but then the moment they started playing, I just got my millionth wind of the day. I just felt really energetic again. And then afterwards, we felt fucked.
Yeah, so at this point, it was, about 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And, Hellfest do an amazing operational and logistical job making sure that everybody gets back safe and sound.
Totally, yeah.
But nevertheless, it doesn't stop the fact that there's thousands of people trying to get out at the same time.
Yeah.
And our B&B is obviously, I'm not going to disclose the exact location, but a fair drive away from...
Yeah, it's not close. It's nice, but not close. Yeah.
So we got home super, super late.
I think it was 4 a.m.
4 a.m.,
Yeah. I took off my makeup, went to bed, got up 2 hours later and put my makeup on again.
And we had a packed day, kind of like podcast-wise as well. So
we had an 11 a.m. interview on the Saturday.
So to say we were flagging, I think is the understatement of the century.
We were fucked. We were so, I couldn't even talk properly. I still can't. I'm still recovering.
Cream crackered.
Yeah.
Like in death warmed up. Yeah.
I don't mind. Is your battery low? Oh, that's a shame. We can continue. So I guess this is part one.
That's day one.
That's day one.
Yeah.
We were going to do one whole episode, but I guess we'll have to do each day as a different section, maybe edit it together. All right, well,
Fair enough.
That's day one. Hold on for day two. It might come 10 seconds later or a week later. Who knows?
Title: My First Sex Tape.